For 13 years, pop megastar Britney Spears has been under a strict conservatorship after an emotional breakdown in front of America. Now, more than a decade later, her life and finances are still in the hands of her father, and Britney is fighting to get free. Her situation has spurred a movement and the hashtag Free Britney, where millions are questioning how a woman who's been on tour, had a show in Vegas, and put out several albums could be unable to make her own decisions. Now, to get an update on Britney's case and learn more about how guardianship laws work in California and Washington, I spoke with attorney and legal analyst Anne Bremmer.
Her situation right now is really in limbo. Her lawyer has not petitioned to terminate the guardianship or conservatorship. So that's something I think that should happen next. That's what she asked for, but there's no formal petition right now. So she's basically in a legal limbo.
You know, and I heard a lot about her attorney at that proceeding who looked kind of like he was in a daze when the judge was telling him how to proceed. Perhaps this is not the attorney for her, I don't know. But do you see this as an example of the system failing?
I do, and I agree with you with your assessment of this lawyer. And he's had some high-profile cases, including, I think, Casey Kasem's case. And when you're dealing with these cases, as you know, it's usually incapacitated elderly citizens, where you're dealing with Alzheimer's or situations like that. The fact that she testified that he had never told her that she could petition to terminate all of this is very telling. And she had other lawyers in the beginning that she wanted to rely on who've gone on the record saying, we told her she could do this, we want to help her, and they were refused. Really important to note here that this lawyer that she has right now was appointed by the court when she was involuntarily committed on a 5150 in California and had no choice in the matter. And she's had him for 13 years, and yet she's still in this really difficult place.
So she was on a 5150 hold. So let's be clear, that is typically a 48-hour hold for someone who's having extreme mental duress. 13 years ago, and she's got the same attorney?
Yes, the same attorney. And he was appointed by the court. This was not Britney Spears' choice of counsel. Can
she now get her own counsel, or is it still only court appointed?
Well, she can, and I think she needs to. It's hard to believe that it's come to this, that she's in a situation where her reproductive rights are threatened. I mean, we don't sterilize people anymore in this country after about the 1940s. And yet, isn't that what this is, requiring an IUD and not to take it out? And she can't have kids and she can't get married. Start with that, right? Off the bat, outrageous and unconstitutional. But then she's basically in a position where they're saying she can't handle her day-to-day affairs. She can't get in the car with her boyfriend, yet she's signing huge multi-million-dollar contracts and performing in Las Vegas and on television and everywhere else. So that's her day-to-day affairs. That's a guardianship. Conservatorship is the finances. And can she handle her own finances? She's done it before. She had a crisis in 2008, but it appears that crisis is long over.
Is this a California only specific law, or can this happen in Washington state?
We're better. We're better than that in Washington state. I mean, we give more rights to those that are subject to these types of proceedings, starting with the lawyer that represents the individual at issue is to be an advocate. And that's what the law says in Washington. It doesn't say that in California. It doesn't say that you have, like, the word advocate is French for avocat, which you stand in the shoes of your client. You advocate for the client. In my opinion, that's not happening here. And in my opinion, California law doesn't require it. Also, the right to a jury trial on the issue of a guardianship, conservatorship. We have it in Washington. They have it in California, but there's so many roadblocks to it that there's one, I think, out of every 5,000 cases like this, one jury trial out of like 5,000 a year in California.
I can't say I'm surprised by California laws. Having grown up there, I know how backwards that system can be. And it doesn't sound like there's a lot of accountability baked into that system.
In a situation like this, when she didn't even know that she could petition the court, and think about the conservatorship itself and guardianship, they're restricting everything she does. So she can't really advocate for herself. She's afraid if she steps out of line at all, she could end up committed again. She could end up in worse circumstances, et cetera. So it's a horrible kind of catch-22 for someone in California, like Britney Spears. And very sad for her, but I'm very happy her case has raised awareness about human rights. Like she called it like human trafficking. She felt like she was like a victim of human trafficking.
What's next for Britney? I know she can get another attorney and maybe petition for termination without evaluation, but that does not seem likely, does
No.
it? It seems that she will be evaluated.
Exactly. And there's a hearing on July 14th. She can have a different lawyer, or she can have this lawyer petition for termination. She doesn't want an evaluation. The court's going to want to see it. She's been taking lithium. That's, as we know, for bipolar disorder. It's a great drug. Bipolar disorder, I always say, is a genius disease. Creative people have it. I mean, Churchill, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Ted Turner at CNN. You know, I could go on, and she's very creative, but it can be controlled with lithium. I mean, people have very productive lives. So if that's the issue, then I think she should be evaluated. And if she's staying on her meds, then there's no concern about her future and her welfare.
And there have been a few developments since we had this conversation with Anne. Britney's court-appointed lawyer, along with her longtime manager, have both submitted their resignations, and many hope this will be good news for Britney.